Hello, you wonderful, wondering wonders out there. How's everybody doing in Oz? Good? Well, I've got a tube, but I'll keep it short. And it's not my Christmas tube, okay? But there's a few things cropped up in Oz, so I thought, well, why not? And I just wanted to say a thank you to a group of men that are in Oz that are helping the farmers and helping people in the drought and floods and repair their properties that were damaged with their fencing and whatever else. And these group of men are wonderful. They appeared on Current Affairs and they're going out to all the communities all over, and they're volunteers and really putting so much back into people's properties and the community by their support, by their back-breaking work that they do. And these men should be thanked. And I seen this on Current Affairs and I thought, well, that just inspired me to make this tube and to say thank you to these group of men. And it's all volunteer. And I just think it's so inspiring, you know, when Australians go out and do that and help each other and recognise that and give so much back to the community, because these group of men are only just there to help people on the land or in the community, but they're listening to the community. They're helping with people and, you know, really listening to their worries and their concerns and giving that support. So these men are wonderful, and they come from their organisation, voluntary organisation, I dare say it is, or a group of men. They're called Blaze AIDS or Blaze Aid. And they're volunteers. They're only a group of men. But they need help. They need more volunteers joining up with them and helping them and reaching out all over and giving the support back to the people on the land and in the communities that need it. So if you want to help out, men or women, get in contact with 9now.com or go on to Current Affairs and look up Blaze Aid. And these people are wonderful and they'd really appreciate the help so much. They even said it tonight on a Current Affairs. They really need more volunteers, and they're a wonderful bunch of people, really hard-working Aussies, and they would appreciate people reaching out, getting on board and becoming volunteers and supporting Australians in need, not only for floods but for droughts, for everything. They're there for everything. They're there for the long haul, and that just shows the Australian spirit, doesn't it? So good on ya, Blaze Aid. I just want to say you're a wonderful bunch of men, and the volunteers, I hope you get more, and I'll reach out and I will say that on my channel. I'm only a very small platform, but people listen to me, so good on you. You're wonderful. Now, there's another subject I want to talk about, and it's a touchy subject as you get older. It can be when you're younger, but you don't really think of it, and that's age and driving. And boy, it can really threaten people as they get older, you know. Because when you're young and you sit out and you get your license and you get your first car, and that represents so much, doesn't it? It represents freedom, your choice, where you want to go, what you want to do, who you want to see. It represents everything. It represents your whole entire life. And you form that independence so much when you're younger, and it goes right through, and you don't realise how much you depend on driving as you get older, you know. But as you get older, and I'm not young, I mean, I got my licence in the late 70s, you know, early 70s, late 70s. And it was different because you didn't have computers, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have any of that. And you just walked in and did a test, a written test, over the bench, you know, over the counter, and you were assessed that way. And so when I was younger, it really set what I was going to do in life, having that independence, and it was wonderful, and it still is wonderful. I still drive, but not as much. And as going through life, you know, you don't realise how much changes on the roads and around you. And in the 70s, it was just starting to recognise that you know, seatbelts were a big thing, you know. Drink driving was a big thing. Lots of things were big. You know, our roads started to change. Our laws started to change. Our speed started to change. Everything started from then. And you don't realise now, because it's, you know, end of 2022, you know, but you don't realise as you get older how much it impacts you, all the change in your life. And as you get older, you don't want to feel like you're going to lose any independence from driving, because if you give up driving, right, you're going to lose everything. Your whole world's going to crumble, you know, you're not going to have anything, you're not going to have nothing around you, you can't do anything, you'll be, you know, disabled. And I know that's a threat to a lot of older people that drive, and I understand that, you know. I'm not young, but I have consciously made a decision. I don't drive a lot anyway, but at a certain age, can I see myself driving at 80 plus? Honestly, no, I can't. I've questioned myself. When I was younger, if you had asked me when I was in my 18, 20, 30, yeah, of course. I'm going to be driving when I'm 80, I'm going to be driving when I'm 100. Don't worry. I'll be able to do it. Don't worry, love. But ask me now, because I'm, you know, past 50, will I be driving when I'm 80? No, I won't be. And I can't see myself doing that. The reason why is because you look around now in the year 2022 and start of 2023, how much changes on the road and how much it impacts you, that change. And you're going out. A lot of older citizens are wonderful drivers and never had a crash in their life, never had a fine in their life, never had this, never had that, and that's wonderful. That's great. However, have I, you know, but you got to have a point in a time in your life where you've got to really be honest about your ability and your reflexes and your reactions and everything that impacts driving. And do you have that now that you're older, say 75, 80 plus? Do you have that? Do you really have that? So you've got to be honest, because there's a lot of elderly people now that are 75. We'll say from 75, okay, if you pass a test, if there was a test, and you had the ability to drive in every way, shape or form, okay. But you got to start questioning yourself around about 80. And I don't care how good of a driver you are, and I might get some feedback and some comments, and that'd be good, you know, because I think we need to have this debate in Oz now, because a lot of, and I know it all represents a lot of people's threats, thinking, well, I'm going to lose, you know, if I lose my licence or give up my licence, that's going to be it. And I think the government's got to come on board with seniors and the help and support out there for people that do want to give up or transition from driving, and now thinking, well, you know, they're forced to drive because they've got to go to the shop, or they're forced to drive because of this, that and the other, doctors, or, you know, to maintain their social life, or all that sort of thing, you know. And a lot of seniors have that, and they had that car, because if they lose that car, they lose that. I understand that. But the government's got to understand that too. There's a lot of accidents now involving elderly people. You know, today's the 1st of the 12th, and there was a 17-year-old hit by a 90-year-old person. Now, I was shocked. For my, you know, my personal opinion, 90 years old. Wow, that's amazing within itself. But somebody died, a boy died. And that's shocking, because you got to question yourself, and you got to question it. The question being, are people, as they get older, do they have the ability to maintain driving? And this is where the government's got to realise that and help the seniors. And by doing that, perhaps promoting or getting community buses going for seniors to be able to still connect with their friends, still connect to doctors, still be able to connect to shopping, and social events and networks and support services. But, you know, and giving community buses, you know, or recognising that this is a big thing in Oz now, because as people get older and transition, you know, in their later years, and they got a car, they're not going to give it up to catch a taxi or an Uber. You know, they're not. But if they had a community bus, or, you know, some way to support them, and a network out there that they could contact, knowing that they could have, you know, that support for their independence to keep going, it'd be a good thing. But seniors, as they get older, don't really have that. They don't really have that at all. And that is a fact. So Anthony Albanese, and I'm not, you know, people, you know, like, I'm not saying it to play a card, but I'm saying the truth. You watch your mum suffer, and how hard life was, and what happened, you know, and you knew, and everybody knows from Camperdown how many people had disabilities and were disabled, even in the same block of units that you lived at. You would have known a family called the Campbells, because I certainly did. I grew up in Camperdown, Campo. But I'm just saying, recognise that, because as seniors get older, they don't want to lose their independence. They don't want to lose that. But they've got no way out. So you've got to think about that, Anthony Albanese. This year in 2023, do the seniors a favour here in Oz, and address the fact there are seniors out there now that are driving that shouldn't be. driving, and they know they shouldn't be driving, but they still drive because they got no way out. They can't afford an Uber, they can't afford a taxi, and they're too damn old to be waiting at a bus stop or a train stop. They're past that. So, Anthony Albanese, if you're listening, address the fact in 2023 for the seniors. It's a big thing, because as 2023 goes on, you will find there are more seniors going out in their car and putting their self and everybody else at harm, by, if not an accident or causing an accident or being involved in an accident or even killing somebody. So think about that for 2023, Anthony Albanese, because, you know, all people come in forms of, you know, being disabled. And if you don't have your independence, then you're disabled, you know. And we form that when we're younger, our independence, don't we? And one of the ways was, you know, your first car, and then you grow from there. And that's, you know, it's pretty much as important as buying a house. Some people say, anyway. But yeah, address the fact, because there's more seniors out there. And if you watch my tube, seniors, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm being truthful. So, and if people are watching that are seniors, that you know deep down that you shouldn't be driving, have yourself a conscience, you know, because you need it, you know. And we know the seniors don't want to lose their independence, Anthony Albanese. So please, you know, don't leave them permanently disabled in 2023, where they're forced to drive in a car when they know they shouldn't be. And, you know, give them a way out. Give the seniors a permanent way out, but maintain their independence. Be a good thing. But anyway, that's all I had to say. That was a lot. I was drinking a cup of tea before there. Now I'm sure I have to heat it up. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that tube. I couldn't help myself, because those two things cropped up, and I thought that was so important and so moving, that to hear that, and a life lost, a 17-year-old. And it was just so devastating and so tragic. And I thought, this has got to be addressed by the government. It's got to be addressed by the road ministers, the ministers of the road. You know, it's got to be addressed. The ability, and it's got to be questioned now, the ability of seniors that know they should not be driving, that go out. And it's a big part of it, because lives are lost. And it's a terrible thing just before Christmas. But anyway, that's it, everybody, for now. If you're experiencing psychological, physical or substance abuse, plenty of organisation supports here in New South Wales. And also, another thing I was going to mention, I don't know whether a lot of people are aware of this, but I had to ring up Medicare for something or other the other day to find out they've got a whole lot of services for people and supports for people in domestic violence situations. If you didn't know that, Oz, Medicare, yeah, believe it or not, for people that are faced with psychological or physical abuse, reach out to Medicare, because they've got services. I don't know what they are, but I know that they've got them. So isn't that wonderful? So if you didn't know, now you know. Now you're in the know. Anyway, look after yourself. Remember the contagions. As I said, the 31st December, the government intends to close all the COVID sites. Isn't it dreadful, Oz? It really is. And the case numbers are now growing. I think there's about 40 that are in intensive care so far. So the case numbers are growing. So if the government was right and do the right thing, you would leave these COVID testing sites open after the 31st of December. Because if you don't, it's going to be all hell to pay in 2023. And we can ignore so much, but when people start getting sick and they can't work and the economy starts breaking down and wages aren't coming in and people aren't able to look after their family, pay the bills and all that sort of thing, you're going to have a problem on your hands, government. So do yourself a favour, and the Australian people, because you have duty of care here to the whole entire nation to keep these COVID testing sites open. So people can get tested, and if they're sick, do something about it. But if they have to pay, they won't be able to, because they won't be able to afford to go and get a test or go and pay to get tested, government. So do the Australian people a big favour by duty of care, that you leave these COVID testing sites open after the 31st of December. And also another thing is, I was horrified, is people working in hospitals. Do you know that they lose their job? There's people in, I know people that have got, working as COVID officers or support people or whatever they're doing in cancer clinics and things in hospital, where, they're going to lose their job now. So when people walk in, they won't be asked or they won't be monitored, there won't be anything. And that's a bit poor, because taking it even away from the hospitals is a dangerous thing, because now people and the highly compromised people that are going to get sick will need that monitoring, need that looking after. So the people that lose their jobs is gonna, it's gonna be a big impact on Oz. But anyway, the government have a conscience, duty of care for the whole entire nation of Australia, that you leave these COVID testing sites open. So there you go. And do something about seniors that should not be driving when they know they shouldn't be driving. But as we said, we've got to address their independence. We've got to keep that going, because we want people to keep their independence as they live longer lives. Of course we do. The government's got to put supports in and help that transitioning. But anyway, until next time, I will say my 4 codes: respect, dignity, honour and integrity, and faith, of course. But I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe and comment. I really hope you like this, you guys. Have a cuppa, have a bitch, whatever, with your neighbour. Get to know people. As I said, reach out to these wonderful great men that are organised, voluntary organised, and Blaze Aid, and you can get it through 9now.com or look on Current Affairs and you'll be able to look them up and go and join them. They're wonderful. They need more volunteers. See you later from Planet Australia. Merry Christmas, everybody.